Okay, we're ready to start when you are.
Okay. This is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the Northborough Conservation Commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's orders suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda, unless I note otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. We're going to confirm our member access. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Diane Goldner.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Dan Clark.
Here.
Very good. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Here.
Okay. Some business ground rules. I will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through me, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. For items that have public comment, after members have spoken, we will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. I will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once I have a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, you're up.
The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Request for determination of applicability, 0 Lyman Street, map 86, parcel 2, by Commonwealth of Mass /DCAMM for the proposed demolition of 4 structures, removal of utilities and associated site work. Request for determination of applicability to 2D Little Pond Road, map 47, parcel 213 by Durulab and Tulay for the proposed installation of a 4-foot-high retaining wall and associated site work. Request for determination of applicability, 7 Belmont Street, map 109, parcel 5 by Innovative Creative Realty Trust for the proposed removal of debris and vegetation from existing paved areas, seal coating, installation of bulkhead, 5-foot concrete walkway, and 16-foot by 33-foot concrete pad and associated site work. That's it.
Yep, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, a couple of items here. Before we get to the minutes, welcome to Dan Clark, our new commissioner. Welcome,
Yes.
Dan.
Welcome. Have fun.
Dan is filling the shoes of Wayne Baldelli, which are very interesting shoes to fill. So.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Meeting minutes. We have August and September. The August meeting minutes, the notes that I had on it is that one of the reasons we had to redo them for this month was it didn't show Todd as attending and he was here in August. Yet it did not show him as a member as being remote, but then it did show him as being members on the staff. So I don't know if that's the only reason that we couldn't approve them.
You're looking at August. I think I have September. So these say August, but they're supposed to be September. Let me get the September. You want to start with the September minutes or the August minutes?
These are the August minutes I'm looking at
Okay.
because we reviewed the June and July meeting minutes at that meeting.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Are you looking at something that says August 12th, 2020?
Yes.
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
we have, you
So
said
see,
that
under
in-
members remotely, Todd was not listed as the top level, right? Under members remote, yet he's listed when we did the staff and roll call. All the way, halfway down the
Oh.
page.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the reason we didn't approve them last month or not.
No, I think we didn't approve them because we didn't have enough members that we felt were present.
Okay.
Um,
Well, let's see. We have.
no, we didn't. We just tabled it.
And I wasn't here in September, right? That was the one I missed.
Okay, but
You
we're
were
talking
here in
August.
August.
You were here in August.
I was
Yeah.
here in August. Yep.
So
Okay.
myself, Diane, Justin, and Todd can approve August.
Yes. But I can make those administrative changes. So add Todd to members present.
That's the only change. You already have them down below. So my suggestion was if we can approve and have that contingent on that change, then we should.
Yep, no problem. That's an easy change.
Okay. Any questions on, I don't think we had any questions before on the August minutes.
Move to approve them as amended.
Seconded by Justin. We will vote. Let's see. Dan has to recuse, right?
Yes, unless you watch the video or no, let's have them recused just to be safe.
Diane,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
and I say yes. So August is approved.
Okay.
September, we need Kelly here.
You want to save that for later?
We have to.
Okay.
So we'll table that. If she shows up, we might be able to get to it. And otherwise, we'll push that till next month.
Okay.
Okay. 161 Short Streets request for another continuance, me, right?
Yes.
Are they looking for November?
They did contact me. They're currently working with the health department on some changes. So they have to get through there first. They'll keep us
They're
posted.
not going to run out of time with their current request, are they?
No. We can keep it on for 2 years before we even
Okay.
question it.
All right. RDA for 0 Lyman Street.
I'm sorry, Greg, could we get a motion, a second, and
Oh,
vote
sure.
for the request to continue to the
Yes.
November meeting?
Yep, definitely.
So moved.
Second.
Let's see. We will take a roll call vote. Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Can Dan vote this, Mia?
Yeah, it's just a request to continue. The public hearing hasn't been opened.
Okay. Dan Clark,
Yes.
and I also vote yes.
Okay.
So we're good. All right. Now let's see. 0 Lyman Street. So we have some people here. Let's see. 0 Lyman will be
I'm going to stop
Dan
sharing.
LaFrance. Jason.
Jay Crookus.
Yep.
And Fabrizio.
James and Fabrizio. James, Fabrizio. And where is James?
I don't see James. He might be.
There. On the screen.
No, I don't see James either. Okay, Fabrizio and Jason, you are on mute. There you go. One's off. Jason's still on mute.
I just took it off.
Good. So, no James, correct?
Apparently he hasn't called in yet. He may be a late arrival.
Okay, fair enough. You three can carry the water buckets, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
For the record, what is Fabrizio's last name?
Caruso, Caruso.
Thank you.
A little background info here. This is, I think, 4 buildings on Lyman Street of the old Westboro or the State Hospital. Request here is an RDA for demolition of the structures, taking out utilities and so forth. They gave us a quick walkthrough prior to filing last month. We visited the site a few days ago, and we're here to talk about what they want to do.
And I have a brief presentation I'd like to give, if that's all right, to just kind of introduce everyone to the project. And we can talk about, any questions that come up as we go.
Certainly.
If I can figure out how to share my screen. Do I not have that option?
You should have that option. Let me see. It's not allowing me to make you a co-host. I have your presentation. If you'd like, I can put it up.
Sure, that'll work.
Okay, can you see it?
Yep. All right, yeah. So the overall project is a demolition of Chauncey Hall and several adjacent structures being put forward by the Division of Capital Asset Management, which is the Commonwealth's property manager. Next slide, please. And so basically, I don't want to belabor this too much, but we want to kind of go over what the project is as a whole. We are intending to, this is part of a larger project that I want to introduce kind of how this fits within the larger scheme of things and just address that point before we get into, what specifically is going to occur under this RDA, how we're going to manage this, and what we are specifically asking, particularly with regard to this particular application. So next slide. So joining us on the call, Fabrizio Caruso is the Deputy Director of the Construction Group at DCAM. Jason Krukis is the Operations Manager responsible for the surplus properties. This is one of many that he deals with. James Metz may be joining us shortly. He's an Environmental Project Manager, so he's joining in support. Fussin O'Neill is the Civil Designer, and I am Dan LaFrance. I'm the Project Manager and the Engineer of Record, so I stamped the drawing set that you have in front of you. And Dietz and Company is the architect, also working on the demolition project. Next slide, please. And, so the purpose of this application is demolition within about a 3.5 acre area surrounding Chauncey Hall. This is entirely in upland areas, some of which, encroaches on state level setbacks, to some extent, but we are not proposing any actual work within wetland resource areas. We have some safety concerns with regard to some of these buildings, and really what we're looking to do is make sure that this gets done in a timely manner. There's, as I mentioned, a larger project going on that will involve the power plant building. If you're driving down Lyman Street toward the Westboro line, you can see the power plant building right along Lyman Street on the same side, maybe about a 1/4 mile away. There are some water tanks up on the hill. Accessing that area requires crossing through an existing swamp. There's a paved road there, but it gets wet and there's a lot of work to do to protect that. So we will be coming back with a notice of intent for that other project. And there's also one building in Westboro that's going to require extensive management of, basically it's a road with wetlands right up to the edge of the road on both sides that we'll have to use to get out to that building. So there's other work that we'll have to follow with notices of intent to both Westboro and Northborough to perform that other part of the project. And really what we wanted to do with this RDA is to separate this part of the project, which is, hopefully faster and easier to permit, and make sure that we don't slip the timeline on that. So next slide, please. So, generally the proposed work under this RDA is the 4 buildings highlighted in red. The gray shading around those buildings is paved surfaces that we plan to remove to the extent allowable. And then the green hatching, I don't know how well anyone can really see that, but there are bordering vegetated wetlands on the eastern, southeastern side. That's the very long wetland that kind of wraps around clockwise from top center of the drawing around to Lyman Street. And then there's an isolated land subject to flooding down to the left of the 2 barn buildings. We're calling them pole barns or pole sheds. We kind of use those terms. They are sheet metal covered buildings that have, basically a wooden frame to them. They're kind of flimsy structures, as you'll see in a second. So our objective is to basically clear those structures and, the associated impervious surfaces and utilities and everything like that out of this site. So next slide, please. So this is what the buildings kind of look like now. So Chauncey Hall is the top left, is the major structure on site. As you're coming down Lyman Street, it's the one that, is right on the roadside. The pump station, bottom right, is adjacent to Chauncey Hall, connected by a network of sewage lines right there. And then the 2 pole sheds are top right and bottom left. Those are the, ones located on the northeast corner of the site that we are proposing to take down. As you can see, the southern of the 2, which is the top right, is marked as building 7 on all of our plans, is a structure that is significantly compromised, and our concerns start from the fact that it is actually unsecured and it's an attractive nuisance. And so we are trying to make that go away as soon as we reasonably can. Next slide, please. So our proposed scope of work generally is demolition. So pole barn 6 has a slab concrete foundation, and our proposal is to remove everything above grade but leave the foundation in place. A large part of that is that building is entirely within 100 feet of the nearest wetland areas. And, in some cases, it actually gets to within about 40 feet on the northern corner. And so just because of the inherent difficulties with removing concrete and construction and demolition sites, especially getting messy, we want to leave that in place because it could cause more harm than good to remove that one. Building 7 has an earthen floor, so we would remove the above ground structure, all the supports to it, and then we would seed the area upon completion so that it grows back. There's a pavement area around that, to the south of that we want to remove as well. It's about 10,000 square feet, about 9,300 of that are outside of a 100-foot buffer zone. There's about 500 or so square feet that are just within 100 feet of the nearest bordering vegetative wetland. And so, our preference would be, if the commission will allow, that we would like to remove all 10,000 square feet in a single shot. Based on the grading out there, there's sort of a berm at the edge of the parking lot. We will, of course, use, erosion controls and appropriate practices if permitted to enter the 100-foot setback to remove that material. But we just think it's a better use of things than to leave 500 square feet of impervious back in the woods there. We're proposing to remove Chauncey Hall in its entirety, including the foundation and the sewage pump as well. Both have concrete foundations. Chauncey Hall has some paved surfaces around it. There's actually a basketball court behind. All of that would come out. Chauncey Hall and the sewage pump are located entirely outside of the 100-foot setbacks, and there's actually a tree line between those buildings and the nearest setbacks. So there's ample separation there for all of that work on the upland side. And then there's a network of water and sewer and electrical lines throughout the site. And we would like to remove as much of that as we feasibly can. The one conflict that we identified is that there is a single fire hydrant that's about 85 feet from the nearest from the isolated land subject to flooding. It's entirely on the upland side, and it's accessible at this point. We'd like to remove all the fire hydrants. Right now, the fire hydrants are not connected, and so they're supposed to stay covered. Just so that nobody gets the wrong impression. If somebody needs to, put out a fire, they don't get the impression that these are live hydrants. We just, when we take everything else out, we want to remove that. And, worst came to worst, we could just unbolt the structure on top and take it away. But we would really like to just uproot the entire system and just make it all go away if that's possible. And, along the way, there's other concrete walkways and, pavement surfaces and staircases in a few places. We would want to take out all of that basically out to Lyman Street and just leave a cleared property that can just be left to grow back at the end. So next slide, I believe, is the demolition plan that we can. Yeah. So this is the whole plan in a single presentation. So Mia, if you want to actually zoom in a little bit, we can kind of walk through that. So starting at building 6 and 7 in the surrounding area there. So this is from the plans as submitted about a week and a half ago. We are open to amending these any way necessary to update the record, but you can see that we didn't call for removal of that last 500 feet, which is to the right of building 7. The last bit of pavement is still shown being there. We would like to remove that if we have the board's approval to do so under the RDA. Building 7 will come down. Building 6 will come down to the slab. The slab will stay where it is. And then moving down and to the right a little bit, we showed the entire removal of the hydrant and removal of the entire water line. Our impression from reading 310 CMR 10 is that there is an exemption for maintenance of water utilities and things like that would apply to that particular activity. It's also a minor activity in the scheme that it's a pre-developed area, and we are actually removing that, and we would be taking appropriate controls and cautions to eliminate any impact. But if that's not allowable, it's not allowable, and we'll just cut the hydrant off at ground surface and be done with that. Chauncey Hall, you can see demolition of the building, all the pavement, all the utility lines are scratched out. Those are all coming out, everything to do there. There is an overhead electric line is on the far right side, and there's an overhead electric pole that is just on the bordering vegetated wetland over there. We would leave the pole. We would have somebody go out and cut the lines off to the extent that we're able to pull the lines back on the upland side. And again, removal of an existing utility structure. But we would leave that the remnants of that line. There are several poles that actually traverse the meadow to the south. And, our feeling on removing those poles and the lines in between and everything is that it would be more, potential harm than good to send somebody in after the remainder of the overhead wiring. And so that would absolutely be, something that we wouldn't want to do unless, we came back for that separately. So at this stage, any questions so far? Or
Hey, Mia, can you put the second slide up, the one that had that first, the first graph, the first layout? Right. So on this one, Dan, where's the 100? Where's the 100 line?
So the 100 is a faint green line. Yeah, and so all of our drawings depict the 100-foot setback as the most conservative, because
Yep.
that's where most of our conflicts are.
Yep. Okay.
And so, everything that we have is benchmarked to 100 feet just for the board's reference.
And how much of the work's inside the 50?
Inside of 50, the only thing that we're proposing to do is the above ground demolition of building 6. And that building 6, the closest connection on the north side to that adjacent wetland area is about 40-ish feet, maybe a little bit less than 40. So that's where we're planning to take it down to ground level and just leave the slab where it is. We don't think that calling for extensive concrete demolition in that area and making a mess of that area is really worth the benefit of having restored the impervious. It could be more damaging than it's worth, so we just want to leave it alone.
Okay. And that small piece on building 7 on the driveway and the impervious surface, the small piece that you want to get to, is it just barely inside the 100, isn't it?
Yes, I believe. Hang on, I had somebody measure it for me. We're about 85 feet to the nearest wetland over there.
Okay. All right. Good. Kelly Marston has joined us. Welcome, Kelly. You're muted.
Hey, sorry, I was permanently on 7 o'clock. I'm sorry.
No worries. We thought you might have been blown away with kite surfing down off of Cape Hatteras or something like that.
No, I was buying a vacuum.
So okay.
It wasn't really.
All right. Welcome. Thank you. Any more questions? Any questions from the commission for Dan or his team?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Diane.
On that light pole, you're leaving the pole, but you're taking all the wires from it?
Yep.
Okay.
So what we would do is we would get, to probably 15, 20 feet off of the pole, cut the wires there. So one side will hang free, but it just keeps balance on the pole so that it's not just entirely pulled from the other end. And then the rest of the wires, there's probably going across that meadow, there's probably about 400 or 500 feet of wire that traverses, the wetland and the immediate uplands on either side. And then it eventually comes back out over to the power plant a little further down Lyman Street. And, anything that is accessible from the other side, that'll be part of our notice of intent. But we just didn't want to have equipment going through the meadow to take down utility poles, just because of the effort of, sending something in there to cut it all down could be damaging.
Is Chauncey Hall, is that the one that's visible from Lyman Street?
It is, yes.
And the meadow you're talking about, there's sort of a road that goes down the side of it and it comes out close by the pump, or the fisherman's access. Am I in the right place?
You're starting from the right place, but I think you're going in the wrong direction. So if you actually travel down Lyman Street eventually it'll take you out to Route 9. The power plant's over that way. And the power lines go, sort of parallel to Lyman Street going down that way.
Okay.
The fisherman's access brings you out, I believe, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, that's on Lake Chauncey.
Yeah. Well, Little Chauncey, I think.
Little Chauncey, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Just trying to orient myself.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else in the commission have questions?
I had a quick question. Sounds like you're taking the foundations out on most of the buildings. Given
on 2 that have fully established foundations, and then building 7 really doesn't have one. In building 6, we would leave in place.
do you anticipate any soil contamination? I don't know what the history of these buildings or how old they are, but did you guys do any assessment on that?
So I've not personally done any assessment on that. It would not be the first one of these that, during a building demolition project, we run into some surprises. I personally am actually a registered licensed site professional, so site remediation is a lot of what I do. If we do encounter something in the course of the project, we will absolutely be able to address that. There are building hazardous materials that we are addressing as part of this project. Chauncey Hall has asbestos and some lead paint and things like that inside. So we will be calling for abatement of those materials. But in terms of, past releases of oil or anything like that, the oil storage for the campus, there were some tanks over by the power plant and out, the other way. Those have been remediated, to my knowledge. There was nothing actually attached to Chauncey Hall and these couple of buildings that we're talking about here. But in the event that we do run across something during construction, I'm already engaged with this design team, and so I can, pick that up, handle it in stride, and if I have to come back for any emergency authorization, we can certainly navigate that process if we have to. But at this time, we don't know of any specifics that would put us there.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. You good with that, Dan?
Yep, thanks.
Anybody else in the commission have a question? Okay.
Dan, just real quick, you mentioned building 6 foundation is going to stay. So will that be part of the NOI too then, when you kind of lump everything together within jurisdiction? You guys would take that out of there?
We weren't really planning on it. And again, we're just kind of looking at it as, because of its proximity to the wetlands, whether we do it under the NOI or whether we, no matter when we would go and do it, just because demolition is fundamentally messy, it carries too much risk for, making things worse in the name of trying to make them better. And we're trying to avoid doing that.
Dan, if I may add, this is Jason. So building 6 actually is a slab on grade. To the best of DCAM and the Commonwealth's knowledge, there's actually not a footing. So it would simply just be a slab on grade. And we don't have, at this time, we don't currently have any intent to remove that.
Okay.
Is that a potential problem in your view, or?
No, I mean, just something, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see both sides of it, whether or not you take it out of there, you kind of restore it, and get it seeded and kind of stabilized again. I know it gets messy during demo, but a couple of years from now, it's not going to be messy anymore. But I can see also just leaving it back there too. I mean, it doesn't cause that much harm to keep it in place either. So I guess I don't know.
If it's of the commission's opinion that it could be removed and we possibly do it under the RDA, we'd be amenable to that. I mean, it's just adding it to the demo plans.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, it's in closer proximity to the wetlands. I think Dan maybe mentioned 40 feet to the wetlands, but if you've got all the equipment in there, if you're doing demo anyways, you're kind of mucking up the site as it is. As long as you put some erosion controls around it, might be nice just to get it out of there for long-term, cleanup reasons.
Dan, what's the risk of adding that to the list? It is the closest point to the wetlands at 40 feet, I think, or so. But what's the risk of demoing that situation?
I mean, I think personally, we could add it. We would have to, just make sure that we keep a very close eye on the contractor while they're doing that work. And we would have to include in the contract specifications exactly, what areas they're allowed to access. For example, not running a machine around the outside and lifting anything from the outside, because they would, in that point, the back wheels of the machine would be, 15, 20 feet off the edge of wetland. And, it's things like that we would have to specify for the contractor, you shall not do X, Y, and Z. But, I think it could be done. It just becomes, a little bit risky. A lot of demolition contractors, you know, their objective is to be in and out as quickly as possible, and they'll do whatever is fastest for them. And so, you know, the concern is just that, you know, if anything were to happen there, you know, that is the one place where it does get really close to the wetlands, and, you know, particularly depending on what kind of approach they take to getting that out, could lead to them, you know, being even closer to the wetlands if they, you know, if they ended up going around the outside of the structure to do something. So, you know,
If the commission would like it removed, then we can ensure that the demolition, demolition is closely monitored and make sure the control plans are in place with close monitoring for that area without any problems.
I have to agree with Justin. If you're going to be back there, you might as well take it out.
Any opposition to that from the commission? All right. Any more comments from commissioners? Okay, I do have an attendee with their hand up. Dr. Volk. Bring him in.
I think we can just allow him to talk. Is that okay?
No, I'm asked to unmute, right? He's going to unmute. Dr. Volk, you should be okay. Dr. Volk? Let's try that. Dr. Volk, can you hear us now? No, I think we lost him. I'm just looking here. Mia, do you see him? I don't see him anymore here. I promoted him to a panelist, but he's showing.
Yeah, he's still a panelist.
Yeah, but he's not showing any microphone.
No. He may have a bad connection. And now he's gone.
No, I moved him to a time, brought him back to an attendee.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Let's see. I want to allow him to talk. Dr. Volk, can you hear us? No. Okay. Dan, is Dr. Volk representing any of the state folks?
I do not.
No, it's not.
No?
He's a resident. He's attended other meetings.
Okay. Well.
I have a question, and maybe
Go
this
ahead,
is
Kelly.
answered. I don't know because I was late. What is the future plan for this site? Is it similar to across the street, or is this just cleanup?
At this time, it's just cleanup. We haven't completely figured out the future plans for the entire site.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, part of our motivation, getting back to, you know, why we're splitting off this RDA versus the other, you know, as an NOI, is that there's some imperative, especially building 7, but it's not the only one. That, you know, there's some, you know, potential security issues, and parts of the buildings are starting to come apart. And so, you know, right now the imperative is just get these down before they come down on their own and something bad happens.
Mm-hmm. I sat on the committee for the other side of the road, so I was wondering what was going on this side of the road.
Yeah, I think they've got an NOI coming for that side of the road too that you'll be on. So, Dr. Volk, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Just a very quick, I had the same question with use of it and why to demolish it. And one quick question is, what is the cost of the demolition? Can be taxpayer monies be safe, particularly in coronavirus time?
Yeah, I think that's yours.
So I don't know I don't know that we necessarily split it off. We came up with an approximate estimate for the overall campus, but I'd have to go back and check. It's a couple $100,000 for the work in this area to do, the complete demolition of all these buildings and the site restoration. I'm sorry, I can't be more precise than that at this point.
Essentially, the Commonwealth feels that by removing these properties and not having to have security go to the property any longer and pay that expense, it's going to be a savings for the taxpayer dollars.
Okay. The last comment.
Sure, go ahead.
The last comment is only before the Shawnee Hall comes down, is it possible for the Historical Society to document it so that the documentation of this building can be happened before it gets demolished? That would be, to my concern, quite important, interesting.
You're talking from an historical perspective, Doctor?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So this is Jason. This is Jason. I appreciate that statement. Yes, as a part of the project team, we are moving forward with the Commonwealth Historical Commission, as well as we will do local historic commission documentation on the building.
Doctor, did that answer your questions? Okay.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I take my microphone off then. Thank you very much.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
So the one last slide, so if you want to go to slide 10, that I just wanted to run through, if certainly happy to answer any other comments, but we did have some review comments previously provided to us, and I just wanted to acknowledge what changes we plan to make. We've not resubmitted these with the final drawings yet. Obviously, we will amend the drawings to show whatever reflects the final approval here. But I just wanted to throw this slide up and just kind of acknowledge that we heard the feedback on these, and we plan to incorporate all of that. And one point that I didn't bring up was about the inlet protection. So the comment was that we have an inlet protection detail and we don't call out any locations that need it. This is sort of a lessons learned from previous jobs. And Murphy's Law is the governing law of my work, is that we tend to find when we start taking apart old buildings that their water conveyance is going in places that we weren't expecting them. And so, we are building into this some contingencies for additional, controls and, just planning to be able to address something. If something comes up in the field, we will be able to tell the contractor, this is on the drawings. You need to know how to install this and continue with the work and not have to, worry about stopping, resetting, trying to figure out, what to do next. So that particular detail was there on purpose. It doesn't specifically to apply to any particular location, but it is something that we think we have a chance of needing at some point.
What are the abutters? I thought this was pretty much state land surrounded.
We had to notify the state several different ways. There are properties that are, DCR, the state hospital. DCAM owns the property on the Westboro side. So DCAM had to notify DCAM that, DCAM was sending this out. There were about 6 or 7 abutters. There were a couple of private entities as well. But yeah, the majority of them were state stakeholders.
Okay. So I presume there are no other abutters present here tonight. Okay. Is this an RDA request? first of all, I guess there's no more questions. We'll close the hearing.
Greg, could I
You
butt
can go
in for a
ahead.
second?
You certainly
I just
can,
wanted
Mia.
to make sure that it was the consensus of the commission. There were three things that aren't included in the application, or at least were questionable. The removal of the foundation of building 6, the ellipsis of pavement south of building 7, and the hydrant to the north. The consensus of the commission is that all this work can move forward even though it's within the 100-foot buffer.
Yes.
Todd, Dan can
Yes.
nod. You don't
Yep.
have to vote.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a consensus of the commission. And then it's not a public hearing, it's just a meeting, so you can just entertain a motion to issue a negative determination and then discuss what conditions, if any, you want to include.
Okay, fine. We need a motion.
Move to issue the RDA for 0 Lyman Street.
We'll take a roll call vote. Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes, and I think we're moving to issue a negative determination, right?
we are moving to issue a negative determination, correct?
Yep.
Was
Yeah.
there a second,
Second.
Kelly? Okay,
Get the second, Mia?
yes, thank you.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig. Todd, are you muted?
Oh, yes.
I will
Yes,
also
I am
vote
muted,
yes.
and yes, I approve the motion.
Okay, very good. All right, motion is passed.
On behalf of DCAM, I want to thank everybody very much for your time and consideration. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let's put together a pretty concise presentation and discussion. Mia, we did talk about, one thing we did talk about was track pads and so forth when the removal starts.
So there's track pads on the plan. The only condition I recommend is that within the RDA, we say that the plans will be followed. They're very robust, comprehensive plans, so.
Last question I have, Dan, and I think we talked about this at the site visit, but what about your overall timeline for this? Just for the commission understands.
Like I said, we want to perform this work as soon as is reasonably possible. As Jason indicated, we are still going through the historical preservation process, and hoping to get demolition started in the construction season of 2021, and with an eye toward expediting that as much as possible.
Okay.
But we're not going to do it over the winter. Where at a minimum, we're waiting until early next year.
All right, fair enough. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mia, while I'm moving them off of here, you can maybe stop sharing screens.
Okay.
We're good there. I'd like to jump back for a second. I know that Justin has but he's going to be gone about an hour. I want to get the September meeting minutes quickly voted now that Kelly's here.
Okay.
So we were the fourth Kelly. We needed you had all the power in this one. So did anybody have any issues with the September meeting minutes?
No?
Shaking the head, no.
No.
No. Okay, so the 4 voters will be myself, Diane, Justin, and Kelly. Need a motion.
And I wasn't here in September either, Greg.
Is that true, Mia?
Believe him, but let me look.
Yeah. It was services for my uncle, so I wasn't able to come in September.
It's Greg, Kelly, Diane, and Tom.
Oh, okay, then we can't go anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
Kelly, you're off the hook. So that's okay. All right. All right. So we'll push those meeting minutes until November. And hopefully Tom is here. Okay. Sorry. You ready to move on, Mia?
Yes.
We're going to go to another RDA for 2D Little Pond Road. Let's see. We've got there's Dural. Welcome to panelist. And Seth Liston is a panelist. Okay. Doral and Seth, are you with us?
I am. Oh, here we go.
Yes, Seth, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Doral, you are on mute.
Seth, do you want me to share the plans or do you have a set?
Sure, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So I'll start with good evening, everybody. My name is Seth Liston. I'm from Thompson Liston Associates. I'm here representing Mr. Antole, the owner of 2D Little Pond Road, in his request for determination of applicability. We're here just regarding grading work to make his recently developed lot a little more usable. This will entail installing a 4-foot masonry wall and adding a small amount of fill to reduce the slope in the backyard. Much of this work will be within the 100-foot line of the wetland, but the closest to the wetland that the work is going to be is 61 feet. So outside the 35 and outside the 50. The wetland resource is a design detention area on the neighboring lot to the north, number 4. Before any work begins, a silt fence will be installed at the toe of the slope. No trees will be cut during this project, and the work will not reach the existing edge of the wooded area. Essentially, just trying to make the already developed yard a little easier to use and maintain. All work will be completed using small machines with rubber tires and hand tools. So it's a fairly simple project on all pre-developed, very recently developed land. A certificate of compliance was finished on that was closed in December of 2019. And that's kind of where we are with this. And I'd be happy to answer any questions I can here.
Do you have some pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Photos? I
No,
do
Mia
not
has
have
some. Mia has
Okay.
photos. All right, so here we are. We're standing. The house is behind us and to the right, yes?
Correct.
So this is the existing silt fence. I'm sorry, the existing wattles that were put in from the original order. Yeah?
Right, exactly. And then down below, the existing silt fence is still there. I mean, the initial silt fence is still there.
So the plan is to put the wall roughly halfway down, Seth, is that fair?
Probably a little bit more than halfway down. It's going to be about 10 feet from that line of the wooded area that you can see there.
Yep.
And it's going to be 4 feet high, just under 4 feet high. And from there, we're going to basically make that slope a little bit less. At this point, he can't mow it effectively. It has to be done with a weed whacker, and just maintenance and being able to use his backyard is the goal here.
And the wall is how far off the delineation line?
61 feet at its closest point.
Okay. So it's outside the no build, certainly.
It is.
So the plan would be you would then put fill in to flatten out the area that you're standing on, you and I are standing on right here.
Essentially, yep. There would still be a slope. It is a pretty dramatic slope right now. So there would still be a 6-to-1 slope to it, which is much better than what we've got right now. So.
Okay.
Basically cutting the slope in half from what it is.
Questions, comments from the commission? None? I'm hearing none. Okay, do we have any butters here? Any butters present? No, I don't see any hands raised. Okay. All right, so this is an RDA request. And the proposal here, I believe, is a negative determination with any conditions we can think of, which would be corrosion control devices, certainly, and inspections and so forth. Again, this is not a hearing, right? So we can vote straight on. Correct?
That's right. And Seth, the plan you submitted did have the notification, right, prior to the start of work and the erosion control inspection?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so the only condition, I would suggest is to follow the approved plans.
Okay. All right, then we need a motion.
I'd move to issue a negative determination of applicability.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. We'll roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Done.
Thank you very much for considering that.
Going to try and start soon if you can.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, good. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Might as well leave Seth on as a panelist, eh?
Yes, no.
Let's see. We'll leave Seth on. Mr. Antole, I'll move you over as an attendee. And we are good. Okay. Another RDA, the last of the night for 7 Belmont Street. Seth, listen, you are the presenter here.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you are up again.
And if we could pull up if we could present the plan as well, that would be helpful. Thank you very much. So just for the record again, my name is Seth Liston. I'm from Thompson Liston Associates, and I'm here representing Innovative Realty Trust, the owner of 7 Belmont Street, and their request for determination of applicability. We're seeking to clean up and repair the existing parking lot, to install concrete walkway and concrete pad over the existing lawn, and to add a bulkhead at the rear of the existing building. The walkway and concrete pad are intended to provide emergency and delivery access to the existing rear door of the building. Work will be done with small rubber tire machinery and hand tools. Before work begins, a silt fence will be installed. There are 2 trees that may need to be cut down, but stumps will remain. The trees that overhang the parking area will be trimmed back to the edge of pavement, but not cut down. The proposed work will be done outside of the 35-foot line. Most of the parking lot is outside of the 100-foot line and consists of filling cracks and seal coating the surface. All work being proposed here is on land developed and built prior to 1990. Any soil removed during the concrete work will be stored before taken off the property in the paved area outside of the 100-foot buffer zone and will be covered until removal from the site. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Let's see, we have some pictures here.
Yeah, and I should mention that the initial plan that was, since the walk with Greg and Mia around the site, I did alter the plan to reduce the width of the walkway as discussed at the site.
From 5 down to 4?
5 down to 4, and I added a rounding to give us a little bit more wiggle room at that 35-foot mark.
Good. Okay. All right. So this is looking down where you'd like to, this is where the loading dock is gonna go in, I guess we call it, or
Exactly. Yep.
and that tree would come down, yeah?
I'm not sure yet if that would come down, but that is one of the two that is in question.
Okay. And the slope drops
And-
pretty radically right after that.
Yeah, about from that tree, it's about 10 feet till the slope really drops off. As we get further down, closer to the back corner of that property, it's a little bit closer to the sidewalk that it would drop off. That tree itself is outside of the 50-foot line of the no build, but it is still about 10 feet from that slope where it goes down pretty dramatically.
But looking back into the parking lot area.
Yep.
With that, yeah, okay. So we're roughly standing on the loading dock area here.
Yep. So about where that red tree is on the left, that is just outside of where the 100-foot line ends.
Yep.
There is a tree over there that looks like it's growing up right out of where the curb, where the berm is. That may have to be removed once they clear out the leaves and whatever else, the debris that's there. We'll be able to see if that needs to come out or if the berm is going to go kind of in front of that. So that's the other one.
Trying to get the photos to progress to the back, the parking area. Just give it a second.
Is that first tree even alive? It looks like it's
No, it's
bittersweet entirely.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of scrub that's right here. From what I'm told, and I don't have any evidence of it, this was a relatively large lawn in the back of this place where goats used to roam. I was a little surprised by that. It is overgrown now. There's no doubt about it. But that tree, that first tree that we're talking about coming down, it is, I don't know if it's alive, but it's not nice.
Doesn't look it.
Not exactly foliage friendly.
Do you want me to move to the back of the building? Are you good with the pictures of the parking lot?
Yeah, I'm fine. The commissioners might have questions or whatever at this point, but I'm good.
For the most part, the parking lot is outside. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. All I was going to say is for the most part, the parking lot itself is outside of the 100-foot buffer. Almost all of it is. But there is that corner closest to the loading dock area that is still within it.
Small piece of it.
Yeah, small portion of it there.
Okay. So this is the closest point you had that I'm standing on.
Exactly.
Which
Yep.
was the original, roughly a 5 foot. That's more than 5 feet, but
Yeah,
that's the corner walkway right behind
Right,
me. Is
that's
where it
the corner.
stops, right?
yeah. Now that corner of the walk is only going to be about 3 feet away from that corner. So
Okay.
we're given a little bit more of a buffer, certainly before it goes down the slope, and then there's 3 feet before you get to that 35-foot line.
Mia, refresh my memory here. What our new regs? Are we 3550? Our new no build, no touch 3550, or is it
2535.
2535? Why do I think it's 50?
But
That was
this
wishful thinking.
this is already disturbed area,
Yeah, right.
you know,
Yep.
and it's pre
Okay.
1990. So that's the one time you guys have waived it, was already
Yep.
disturbed area.
Okay.
I had a couple questions about drainage.
Go ahead, Dan.
About drainage.
Sure.
How does this site drain? Is it are there catch basins somewhere? How does it drain?
That's we haven't done an evaluation of it. There are structures that are closer in the gas station side of the lot. There are no structures in the pavement. So at this point, it's the drainage is fairly free to go with the topography.
What is the topography? I didn't see it on your plans. I don't see any
It is
contours.
fairly flat. It is fairly flat going. It does go down a little bit towards the gas station. And so if you keep on moving towards the next lot to the east, you're flowing that way a little bit. But it is fairly flat.
My other question, do you have a sense currently what percent of the lot is impervious and what percent would be impervious if you made these additions?
I don't have those numbers for you. I can certainly do that up pretty quickly here. If you want to continue with questions, I can do it while we're here.
I mean, I know we've been talking about the 100-foot buffer, but this is also within 100-foot riverfront area too, right?
That's right.
Is that concrete pad, that proposed 14 by 33 foot concrete pad, is there something that exists there today? Is that just a replacement of something that's there? Is that new within the 100-foot riverfront?
It's right now it's just lawn that's there currently. So it's, or what has been lawn in the past, I should say. The goal is essentially to provide a delivery area, but at this point it's pervious.
Can you go back to that photo, the first one? It shows the area that's being discussed.
Are you seeing a PDF right now, like a plan?
I am seeing a plan with some purple lines on it.
All right, I'll go back to the photos. Is this the one you wanted to see?
That's the one. So
that would be it.
That would be it. And that would be the loading dock would go in there. I call it the loading pad would go in there. Was it 33 by what? 33 by?
It's 33 by 14.
14 feet wide, 33 feet deep. And then at the very end of it, which is the corner of that building you see, that brick walkway would start and would go down the side of that building and around the back.
Right.
Some of the questions we have here already, I'm just, is this more of an NOI than an RDA?
I'd say 50-50.
I mean, we have some.
I'm completely comfortable with the bulkhead and the walkway and the trimming of the vegetation. In the parking lot, Dan raised a good question about the drainage. We have an old site plan from 1990 with drainage that was never constructed. So I think it's just sheet flow. We don't really know what's out there except for a Cape Cod berm along the back. And when we were out there, we saw there were trees growing out of the berm. The berm is broken. And then I've been keeping the building inspector aware of this because then if it goes through you, and Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did ask on site, what is the future use? And Seth, do you want to answer that you're preparing?
Sure. At this point, there is no intended future use change other than it being the parking lot itself being brought back to life a little bit. The building she is trying to get additional tenants. She believes she can have up to 3 tenants in that building at some point. But from the sound of what she's talking about, it would not be a ton of parking issues that they'd be dealing with. But at this point, the only intention is to clean it up and make it kind of bring it back to life a little bit.
And so the building inspector is aware that he's going, and any use, I think they're actually preparing a zoning determination right now for the site. And so he's going to have to be made aware of the use and, what can go in there. And then we've gotten a lot of calls probably over the past year or more about different tenants, and it's all been inside, no site work proposed so far. But then what does this open it up to? If you have this concrete pad, what type of activity are you opening up to the rear of the building, which is within the 100-foot?
Okay.
So in this, usually we just look at what's the impact during construction, which I'm not sure about the 16 by 33 pad, what type of impact, if we can condition that successfully in a negative determination. We definitely, I feel comfortable with the walkway and the bulkhead, conditioning that in a negative determination, and tree trimming. But I'm not sure about the concrete pad and what that opens up the future use of the back of the property to.
Okay.
I think, yeah, my only concern with the pad is, a lot of times, you end up with a dumpster on that pad or something like that, over time. And I just, would want to see, is there any way to just hatch out the existing parking lot for loading right now? And then, if a tenant needs a pad or something in the future, kind of come back to that. And
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think there'd be a ton of backlash on that. I'd say, as far as the dumpster goes, there's a little kind of knobbish thing that comes off of the gas station building. That is where the current location of the dumpster is. So in this particular case, I don't think we have an issue as far as a dumpster being put there. There is an intent to have, to definitely have that as a access in and out for that back door. So I don't think they're going to necessarily be putting anything permanent on that pad, but I think that there wouldn't be too much fight on reducing the size of that pad to the size of the sidewalk. Or right now, all of that sidewalk and the pad is less than 900 square feet of space. And then there's the bulkhead that would be added to that, I guess. So we're less than 1,000 square feet of concrete or pervious being added. Relatively large lot, but it's I suppose I would have to talk to the client about the pad, but I don't think there's any big fight to that. If that's the thing that it's hinging on.
Well, I think the drainage question too that Dan brought up is good.
I'm not sure we can ask them, because it's an existing site. It's been here since before 1990. We could ask about what's out there, but we can't require any improvements at this point.
For me, I could issue the negative determination now.
Okay.
I could second.
You would second?
Then to move this along, I'll make the motion to issue a negative determination of applicability for 7 Belmont Street.
I second.
Seconded by Kelly. All right. We have some questions still, but we will vote it. Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Justin Dufresne.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, we're under 1,000 overall, right? That's the square footage back here. I mean, I think some of it's, cleaning up, what is kind of a mess and things back here too. So I'm with you. I'll go yes.
Okay. Kelly Marston.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Actually, I say no. I still think there's a couple of questions that I thought we ought to get some more answers on. But
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I will vote yes. So it's 5-1. Dan, your question around the drainage piece.
Yeah, I don't know which way this site drains now. I did go out and take a look at it, and it's a very steep drop off towards the brook, and adding a bunch more impervious that might flow in that direction. I don't know. I just thought we maybe should get some more information first.
Can we request that they put a curbing around it, around the walkway or the loading dock or any of that?
You like
I think we're
berm?
done, are we?
Yeah, it's done.
We
And voted.
we can certainly look at additional drainage issues as far as what's being added as permanent structures there. Frank is very willing to change things up along the way if needed. So I'm sorry, Frank is the owner, or at least an owner representative.
Okay.
And the one safety net you have is the site is easily accessible. I'm going to be inspecting it. If we do see deterioration, if we do see a dumpster parked there, trash flowing down, vehicles being parked outside the pad towards the resource area, that would be followed up with enforcement, or,
Sure.
a discussion.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of that parking lot's outside of jurisdiction anyways.
No, most of it's in the 200-foot
Well,
riverfront
out
area.
of riparian zone, right? So
Yeah.
not the other
Right.
riparian, but yes.
But if the use changes, do they have to come before us if the use changes? Like all of a sudden
No.
there's big
Really,
truck.
that's really planning, isn't it? That's
Only if there's the zoning, the zoning interpretation will decide what site work would be needed for the use. It is in groundwater 3, I think. So the, if the parking lot, I did talk to Fred about that. So groundwater was 1986. The site was probably like this in 1986. So it predates groundwater. But they would have to get into that. They would have to get into what the site looked like in 1986. And, that would be a whole new discussion with the Groundwater Advisory Board. And if it did trigger groundwater, then they would have to do drainage and treatment and make the concrete intact and the berm intact, that kind of thing. But it may not.
okay. We are done.
Okay.
We're moving on.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Seth. And Seth, just my parting comments to you. You heard some of the concern the commissioners had. Maybe if you could
Yes,
address those with me, it would be a good thing.
no doubt. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So Seth is moving on. That's it. We're back to the group here. Okay.
Mia,
Mm-hmm.
the Little Pond Road property, was that the one we were keeping our eyes on for the lawn in the
Yeah, he
back?
came in for an significant project change. And during that discussion, you told him if he wanted to do this type of thing to come in with a permit, and he did.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was trying to roll it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We have certificates of compliance, Mia, right? And a few other items to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Any specific agenda, an item, sequence you want to go here?
I think next is 330, 350 Bartlett Street.
Yeah, I see Scott Weiss on the line here. I'll bring Scott in.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Scott. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Certificate of compliance for 330350 Bartlett Street. These are the two big warehouses at the very top of the hill, right next to FedEx. Mia and I took a cruise around there during the site visits, and boy, you know what? For the first time that was walked until now, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Mhm.
So you think you're done, you want the COC, correct?
Correct. Construction wrapped up actually this summer.
Yep.
On the buildings and all of the driveways and parking areas. All of that work has been completed, and the slope stabilized, all the drainage is in, as-built provided. I know Mia had a few questions on the as-built. We'll get those turned around, but they're pretty minor. And get those back to you. We still have an earthwork bond that remains in place, but all the work is complete out there. As we understand, the buildings are actually being leased, and there's some work on the buildings going on separate from anything that we were involved in.
Mia, do you have any pictures of this one?
I have that. The commission had asked for like a wetland impact report from the most recent violation. I have pictures from that I can share. Let me get to the right. This was submitted by Goddard, a wetland buffer impact report
Yes,
in August.
There's a Goddard person on the line, on the hold. Mitch is on there. So. Mitch, I'm going to allow you to talk in case it comes up. So I presume you're here to represent Goddard on this one. Okay.
Just for a point of clarification, I don't think we did not ask Mitch or Goddard to be attending.
No,
So he may be here for something else.
I think he's here for
Okay.
something else, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So walk us through these, Mia. This is all been filled in now, right? This is all grown in.
Yep, these are the
photo
slopes
one.
in the back.
Yeah.
Showing some of the area that has grown in. It's completely grown in now. I can show you some of the pictures. But I just want to let you know, we did get that report about the impacts, the overall impacts. And in fact, starting in August, the site was so filled in that I had to start doing it from the top. I used to go down into the woods, but it was so overgrown, it was almost impassable in some places. Can you see the photo?
Mm-hmm.
So this has grown in since. I just wanted to give you these from August. Oh, my computer's slow. These are the basins. That slope has filled in. It was a little too hot to grow grass at the beginning of August. Let me find a good one. There's so many. Every time I go out, I take like 50 pictures.
All those remediation areas are in great shape, the very base.
Yeah. Yeah, all the slopes are filled in now, and the base is filled in. I should have opened it a different month. I'm sorry. Because there's more grass now. This has the signs. The signs have been installed. Yeah, I'm sorry. I opened the wrong folder. All these slopes are now grassed. I think this is the one. Here we go. So this is the area that we asked for the restoration. I don't know if you want me to keep going around Basin A, the little basin over by the aqueduct. Skip forward. In the very far, that's Basin A. It's empty. see there. And in the distance is Bartlett Street and the aqueduct.
Good. Any questions from the commission? I've got a raised hand in the audience here. I should probably see who this is. 0708. I'm going to,
I moved them in.
you did bring him in, okay.
Yeah, we just need them to identify themselves.
Telephone number ending in 078. Could you identify yourself, please? No? Are you on mute? Hello?
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Yes, hi. Yeah, it's Attorney Rod St. Pierre. It's regarding the Green Street certificate.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Okay, great, thanks. I'll hold on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so any question from the commission? I mean, this site's had a lot of challenges. Every challenge was certainly responded to very quickly, in my opinion. Well, I think it's in good shape, in my view.
And Greg and I did visit it on Monday.
So if there's no opposition, we need a motion.
Move to issue a certificate of compliance for 330, 350 Bartlett Street.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. Roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
yes.
Justin Dufresne,
I'm gonna recuse myself on this one, Greg. I think
Okay.
we did some offsite traffic work. for
Fair
this
enough.
one.
Kelly Marston.
Yes.
I think we need Dan to recuse too, correct, Mia?
No,
Someone
I don't think
CC'd
so.
enough.
Yeah, it's fine. He didn't have to be there for the opening of the hearing or
Okay.
the issuance of the order.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yeah,
and I will vote yes. Carried. Done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right.
Night.
All right. So now we have Green Street.
Mhm.
So. All right. So Mr. St. Pierre, you can now unmute yourself. And who else do we have here? Vito Colonna.
I don't see
I don't
Vito.
see him here. And I don't see any more hands up. All right. Mr. St. Pierre, you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you.
Okay, you're on. This is you're asking for a partial COC for 0 green.
Correct.
Okay. Mia, do you want to give some background here, or should I have Mr. St. Pierre do that?
We can let Mr. St. Pierre start.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, again, the Cornerstone Engineering has sent a letter in that pretty much explains the situation that's going on here. We're going back to an order of conditions, I believe it goes back to 2001, that deals with a subdivision of property with 5 lots on a common driveway. As part of that plan, the particular lot that's before you this evening was affected by that, was part of it indirectly, but never had the ability or the right to connect to that common driveway. The common driveway now, again, deals with the 5 lot, is maximized. No additional lots can be added to that. Because of that, my client then redeveloped a portion of this lot. He then had to make an agreement with Catherine Chunder to buy a portion of her property on Green Street for access to this lot. So the only access that's going to come into this new lot that's before you this evening would be coming from Green Street and not this common driveway. Now, the order of conditions deals with the common driveway, of which this particular lot has absolutely no rights to it, cannot utilize it. It has no expenses associated with it. Now, we're in the process of selling this lot. Of course, the title comes up that shows that there's an outstanding order of conditions. Again, that really shouldn't be part of ours, but we have to deal with it because it's a matter of title. Again, this is something that's happened 19 years ago. We have absolutely no rights into this common driveway, but yet we're somewhat being held hostage to say you got to comply with it, even though we're not part of it. Now, the issue that comes about, it is an outstanding order of conditions. My client is in discussions with Fred Litchfield. The property owners who are really responsible for all of this are in discussions as well. So eventually the work is going to be done to satisfy this order of condition, but I really don't think this lot should be part of it. So in order to clear our title, that's why we come before the board tonight to get a partial certificate of compliance for this particular lot only, and nothing else to deal with the order of conditions that we're working with the town on.
I'm looking at a schematic. This is the old Silver property, right?
It's all Angel Silver. Yes, it's all the 5 lots. There's lots of there. This lot 4B, which now is lot 2, was a part of that. So a portion of this common driveway is part of the order of conditions, was part of it, but never had any access to it under the terms. In other words, the maximum lots have already been utilized, and we cannot use this if we wanted to. Okay.
And I'm looking the chart that the drawing that I see has 2 lot 4s on it. Which one are we referring to here?
It's going to be the new lot 2. It used to be lot 4B.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, 4B now, when you add in the Shunder frontage, it becomes the new lot 2B. I'm sorry, lot 2 that includes the Shunder frontage along with the balance of the old lot 4B, I'm sorry.
Will you back to that first one, Mia? Okay, so lot 2. Okay.
And then our lot 2, which Cornerstone has prepared.
You see how lot 4 is here in the back, and then it has a connector piece, and then it's here. So these have been split off, and now
Correct.
this western portion is now lot 2, and they're buying some frontage here on Green Street, and they'll be
Correct. Yeah, we pick up 50 feet of frontage from Catherine Shunder, and that will be the driveway access for this new lot. So again, the outstanding order of conditions, this lot will have no impact on it whatsoever. It has no responsibility for it as well.
So the fact that the existing common driveway up there is not finished has no impact on what you're requesting?
That's correct. We're not going to use it. We have no rights to it. It's already overburdened. We can't add to it if we wanted to. And again, that's ongoing discussion that we have now with the town to actually go in and finish it. The problem is going to be repaid, so probably it won't be finished till the spring. But that's the goal, is to get everything done by next year.
So the new driveway is going to come off Green Street, parallel the existing common drive. It looks like there's an existing stormwater structure, an outlet to a basin and a culvert underneath. So who is going to own that?
That'll be part of the new. If it's part of within the 50 feet, it'll be part of the new deal. Otherwise, it's part of the common driveway. That's part of the order conditions.
So the new lot 2 will retain ownership of this stormwater outlet within the lines.
Then I'd have to check with.
On the plan you submitted, there is an outlet and a culvert going under the culvert that goes under the existing common drive will be on the new lot 2. But that
if it's
will
on the
be
new
owned.
Lot 2, then the new lot 2 will be responsible for that.
Doesn't make sense.
So may I, Greg? My concern is that the only time we get people to maintain their stormwater structures is when they come in for certificates of compliance. Eventually, someday, when we have the capacity, these will be maintained annually. And, you know, people will have to get them maintained annually and submit reports to our office or the engineering office they were maintained. So as far as I know, and from observation, this has never been maintained. So this was, I did request that it was maintained because that's our standard protocol, is when people come in for this, for a request for certificate, we ask that this maintenance that was supposed to be done all along is completed. So my concern is, you know, that it was never completed, that it needs to be completed, but, you know, they are in conversation with Fred. Fred at Litchfield, the town engineer, he's our stormwater guru.
Right.
And so there is conversation, but I don't think anything has been determined of who's going to do the
It is-
maintenance, who's responsible.
No, I understand, but based on the common driveway agreement, the restrictions, the five property owners who bought up there, based on the agreement, are responsible to maintain and replace and repair, not the original owner being Andrew Silver. That goes back to 2001. That's all part of the recorded documents that every property owner took subject to. So again, they're looking, you know, we'll participate, and my client will work with them, but the ultimate responsibility rests with the five property owners, and not this lot. This lot has nothing to do with it. They're not going to pay for it. They're not responsible for it. Nor can they utilize any part of this common driveway, and that's why I think that this is proper to get a certificate of compliance as to this particular lot, because it has no bearing on the original order of conditions.
So the plan we're looking at shows part of the stormwater structures on the new lot 2. There's no way the 5 homeowners could even conduct the maintenance without the participation and permission of the new owner of lot 2.
But they have no rights to it. It's very clear they have no rights to that common driveway. So therefore, they have no obligation under the terms of the access and utility easement and declaration restrictions. Each property owner is responsible for 20% of the responsibility of maintaining and repairing and replacing. This lot is not part of that. So therefore, they're not participating in any way, shape, or form as far as that responsibility under the original order conditions. So why should they be held accountable? That's my issue, my problem.
So if I may,
Yeah.
the concern, well, not the concern, but when the common driveway was created, lot 4 encompassed lot 2 now and benefited from the certificate of compliance or the order of conditions.
It did not. It was beyond the scope. There was 6 lots involved.
Wait a minute. If lot 4 wasn't impacted by the order of conditions, you wouldn't even be before us now.
That's correct. But again, a certain portion of the lot affected this common area, and that's the only reason we're before you this evening. It had no rights to it. It couldn't utilize it. The 5 lots have been maximized, and the existing order conditions, the existing common driveway is overburdened. You cannot add any more lots, and this lot is one of them. So yeah, it affected because the plan happened to show a portion of it to be touched by this, but they couldn't utilize it. And then finally, when the only reason we went out and bought land from Shonda was so we could have access. We don't have any access unless we get Shonda's property. And we finally had an agreement and finally entered into that for a number of years to take advantage of that. But it's only because we were able to acquire frontage from Catherine Shonda. If we didn't have that, this lot is useless. We could never use it.
But
I've got two questions, Todd. Then I'll turn it back over.
Okay.
2 questions.
Okay.
Question 1 is lot 2 now was originally part of lot 4, correct?
That's correct.
And lot 4's owner was one of the original signatories to the agreement.
Not really. They couldn't use it because it was already overburdened at that point. They could never utilize it. It's my understanding they could never utilize it, you know, on the common driveway. It had to be
my question. My question is the original owner of lot 4, now lot 2, was one of the original signatories to the agreement. He or she was one of the 20%.
we entered an agreement with John Chunder probably 20 years ago to get access because we knew because we had no rights to that common driveway. The only way we could ever develop this lot 2 today was through John Chunder's, now Catherine, to access through Green Street, never through the common driveway. So it really has no bearing. You know,
Not my
this whole-
question, but let's move to the second question.
Okay.
If we do not grant a partial COC, what happens?
We have to wait till the neighbors, the 5 property owners, and my client finalize all the work that's done on the common driveway. But again, you're holding this lot hostage on a lot that has no bearing on what they're going to with this order of conditions. They have no responsibility financially or otherwise. They can't utilize it. They can't take the benefit of it. You know, so why should they be burdened with being saddled with, waiting to somebody, again, my client and the neighbors, the 5 abutters, to get the order of conditions satisfied. We're in the process of doing that, and we're in discussions with Fred Litcher right now. But again, I'm trying to sell a lot next few weeks, and they say we've got a title defect. I need a certificate of compliance. So that's why we're here this evening.
Okay, all right, I'm done. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Sure.
go ahead, Dan.
So do you have in writing from the other 5 lot owners that you are not responsible for that drainage structure that's on your property?
I do not have anything from the lot owners. I don't think I need it, but I don't have anything from the lot owners. Again, yeah, I would say in my opinion, I don't need anything from them. Again, they're responsible based on the utility access agreement that's been signed. They're responsible for the 5 who took under this, and this lot 4 has not taken under that. So if you bought a lot up there in your deed, it's subject to the access agreement. It's subject to your responsibility to take care of 1/5 of the income and expenses and maintenance and repair of that common driveway. That's it. Nobody else is responsible. And this lot 4 is not party to that agreement.
I understand the distinction you're trying to make, but lot 4, the original lot 4, which your client is now trying to sell, is subject to the order of conditions as part of the original scheme for development of this. And the whole point of the scheme of the order of conditions certificate of compliance is to hold everybody's feet to the fire who own that original parcel to make sure the work was done. And I think it's actually working right now because it's not done, and we want to focus people's attention to make sure that it is done.
No, I appreciate that, and we are taking that very seriously to get it done. But the problem is this particular lot has absolutely nothing to gain. It has no responsibilities. It has nothing. It unfortunately, if you look at the original plan, a small portion of it shows this access area, and that's the only reason we're here tonight. If it didn't show, but they don't have any rights to it. The 5 lots have already been spoken for, come and gone. They own it, and this lot cannot have any access to the common driveway, which is a subject matter of your order of conditions. So if I have no rights to it, I have no responsibilities for it. If I have no use that I can utilize it, why should I be held accountable? Again, I'm being held hostage. This lot is being held hostage for something that we have no responsibility whatsoever.
Well,
the other 5 lots do.
Your client did buy subject to this, so it's not like it was a surprise to them.
No. My client owns it. I represent Andrew Silva. I represent the original developer, not one of the property. I'm now trying to sell this lot. That we had to go out and spend money to buy property from Captain Chunder to gain access. Again, the access comes through Chunder, not through this common driveway. And it has nothing to do with the order of conditions that before your board. So why should I be held accountable for that?
Because it's in the title to your property.
I know that, but it shouldn't be. That's why I'm asking again. I
don't necessarily agree with that statement, though. That's the problem I have. I think it is properly in your title.
No, it's not. You have 5 other lots accountable for this property problem, not this one. add a 6 lot to it that has no rights to it whatsoever? That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's tackle this from another way. What needs
Okay.
to be done on the common driveway to make this go away, and how soon is that happening?
I believe it has to be repaved. There's some detention basins that have to be corrected. But the repaving will probably have to be till next year, and because of the plants, closed down for the asphalt. But I hear what you're saying. But you got 5 lots that have responsibility. Why take the 6th lot that has no bearing, no responsibility whatsoever, but yet you're holding their feet to the fire that you're part of it? And it really isn't. That's the problem I have. That's why I'm before you for a party.
I can't imagine we're requiring them to repave the common driveway in order to get a certificate of compliance.
It's a top coat.
For the certificate of compliance?
Yeah.
It was never finished.
The top coat was never finished, which we understand, but there's some pulverization. You're going back 17, 18, 19 years. So there's some pulverization of the base coat that's going to be fixed, and then the top coat will be put on. And then there's some catch basins that need to be addressed. And that's something that we're in the process of doing. We had a contractor ready to go out there, and for a lot of reasons, I've delayed that. I want to get everything straight with everybody before we do anything. And again, the final being the pavement, which we expect to be now because of the timing, will be done in the spring, which we're going to do. But again, you've got 5 property owners who's building a new house to do all of this. You don't need the 6th, and that's really what I'm saying.
Well, if the 5 don't pay for it, I want the 6th.
They're all going to pay for it. They can't get it. They won't be able to get
this one
until it's done. You got enough. You got a lot of players involved. You don't need one more, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Because if I had benefits, I would say that's fine. But I don't have any benefits. I don't have any obligations. I'm not gaining a thing from this. And I'm all asking, let me go. Let me go sell my property, and you deal with the other 5 who's going to take care of the problem. Because that's who benefits it, not this lot.
Is there a document like what Dan was pointing
I'm
to?
sorry?
Is there a document that the other 5 could sign?
Yes, I sent the document to Fred Litchfield the other day. It's called Access, Egress, and Utility Easement and Agreement. It's recorded in Registry of Deeds in book 28273, page 205. And it very clearly shows that the 5 property owners that bought under this plan, have responsibility to maintain and repair and replace the common driveway. And that was recorded back in, I want to say 2002.
No, I'm saying, is there an agreement from the other 5 property owners acknowledging that not the common driveway, but all the infrastructure underneath it, which is on your property, is something they're agreeing to maintain?
But if you look at the deeds that they purchased, every deed has the restrictions that are subject to this access easement. So now whoever bought, the 5 people that bought up there are all responsible and all subject to this restriction and this easement agreement to maintain and repair it. And I've like I said, I've already given that to Fred, so he has a full knowledge of what's going on.
May I ask a question? So when I spoke with Fred, he said that it was unclear between the developer, who I think is your client, and the 5 property owners who is currently responsible for the maintenance, that there is this recorded thing, but that in the purchase and sale agreements, or maybe it's in the easement, that the owners, the 5 owners, were not going to take responsibility of the common drive and the stormwater maintenance until the top coat went on. So that's why it's confusing. So where are you at right now in that? Who is responsible?
Okay. In my opinion, they're responsible. There's absolutely nothing recorded. There's nothing that I'm aware of. And I represented Andrew for the last 25, 30 years. The only document that I'm aware of is this access agreement. Everybody's bought subject to. Fred, I'm in discussion with Fred now to see if there's anything within the town as far as the planning board, what they required. But to my knowledge, there's absolutely nothing. People bought out there. again, we have certain responsibilities, but as far as the obligation to maintain, repair, and replace lies with the 5 property owners based on this recorded document. I do not know of any other document that we've agreed to or signed that's been recorded or is in writing that I'm aware of. None.
So if I am sort of the view that even if I take everything and I believe you, right? I believe everything you've said, that your lot is never going to have access or the ability to use the common driveway. True. I also believe that there's probably an agreement out there that's recorded that says the 5 lot owners, the people actually using that thing, are 100% responsible for making it right. I also believe that's true. But what you're asking us to do is give up security that we have to force compliance, right?
But
You
you've
want us
got
to look
5
only to the 5 and to leave you out of it. When I don't think I'm not sure I've heard a good reason other than you don't benefit from it.
Not that I don't benefit, I don't gain anything from it. I mean, I'm trying to transfer a piece of property that, and again, the particular buyer of this new lot is one of the 5 property owners of the existing lots. He's buying an additional property. So he's very, very, very well aware of this situation. Again, but I'm looking at a situation, say, I know there's a new building being constructed right now. I also understand the town will not issue an occupancy permit unless this issue is complied with, and that's going to be something in the spring. So the town's got plenty of ammunition, plenty of firepower to get this problem solved. They don't need somebody who has no rights to it to participate. Again, quite honestly, I look at this lot as you're making it hostage on a lot that has no bearing, no responsibility, no obligation, and you're saying, fine, I'm not going to give it to you. And I believe, in my opinion, that's wrong. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I know the property owners are responsible. I know what I recorded. I know what's of record, and I know 5 people have to step up
Rod,
to
may
the
I
plate.
have the book and page, please? May I have the book and page? Yep.
Yep, it's 28273, page 205. That's the access easement that, again, Fred has a copy of. I sent that over to him the other day, if you want to get it from Fred.
I'm on the Registry of Deeds website.
Okay.
Just going to take a look at it.
Okay.
I just have to disagree because some of the infrastructure actually lies on this. We have a drop inlet, up front, that there's stormwater infrastructure on this parcel. That's part of the original order of conditions. I'll take a look.
Most of the, if you get to the second page, there'll be most of the information that's in there. Okay.
So Mia, you're on mute. You're on mute. So Mia, the stormwater management infrastructure that's on this property, is that part of the items of contention about who's going to clean it, who's not going to clean it, who's going to pay for it?
I think it is, to answer your question, but in my discussion with Fred, I believe that's part of it, and we've hired a contractor to take a look at that, and to take care of, there's some brush you got to remove, there's some detention pond, detention basins you got to take care of. But yeah, that's all part of it, to be honest with you.
Mia, I know in the past we kind of hesitated in granting partial approvals. The ones that I've been involved with have been pretty clean. This one sure isn't appearing clean to me. That's just my opinion.
I think it's very clean.
Mia, what are you checking out?
I'm looking at the easement that's recorded.
What was the reference again?
Book 28273, page 205.
It says, in that easement, it talks about the plan that I've got showing you here, where lot.
Yeah, it does show lot 4, but it does show lot 4. But again, lot 4 has been out of it. So the only lots are 1B, 2, 3, 3B, and 5. So it's overburdened. You can't have more than 5 lots on that common driveway. So so lot 4 is out of it. Just explains the thing. Okay.
So this easement shows that the 5 lots, which is lot 4 combined, are responsible for the maintenance of the drainage. What I last heard from Fred is that the owners are not willing to take on the ownership of the common drive, including the maintenance of the stormwater structures, until the driveway is finished. I don't know if they have something in their purchase and sale or how they're holding it, but right now they are refusing responsibility for the maintenance. We really don't care who conducts the maintenance. We only have what we have. So the documents we have say that this lot is responsible for maintaining it. And we also have some of the infrastructure actually lies within the lot.
Well, again, very clearly, these property owners are in error. They're responsible from day one, and they can argue all they want. Again, they have no information other than this access agreement of the responsibility that each one of them takes care of 20% of the problem. Not my client. It was something was done, now 18 years ago. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but again, you can say what you want, but this particular lot has no bearing on this whatsoever. Why would we buy a lot from Catherine Chunder to get access if we had to deal with this situation? We don't have it. The easement's overburdened. You can't add to it. And that's why I'm here before you this evening to get a partial release. I can't say any more. I've beaten a dead horse. So I'll leave it up to you folks to do what you feel is best.
This is your order. There's a full operation and maintenance plan in the order. The lots, the plan is cited, the plan that I have up on the board. The commission has a responsibility to get this stuff maintained and enforce their order. How you choose to do it is up to you. If you want to try to
but get it from the people. Get it from the people that they're responsible, not somebody who's not responsible. That's all I'm saying. You
don't feel the commission needs to worry about who's responsible. They just have to worry about it getting done.
But you're making a lot owner hostage who's not responsible. That's wrong. In my opinion, that's wrong.
I would like to move this. We've been talking about it for quite a while. There's clearly a difference of opinion here.
Yep.
And I would suggest that we move. Mr. St. Pierre, please don't make me put you on mute. Thank you. I would like the town engineer to be a little bit more in agreement as to what should happen and where. If there are discussions taking place, I'd like those to move forward so that we have a little clearer view of this before we said yes. So my suggestion is let's move it out a month and see if we get a resolution by then.
I agree with that. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea.
So we don't have to vote it. Do we have to vote that or just we have in the minutes? Or
so Mr. St. Pierre has to either request that you vote on it or request to continue.
Okay.
I would request to continue to next month, please.
Very good. Okay, done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We need a motion, second, and roll call.
So
okay.
moved.
Thank you.
Seconded by who?
Second.
Seconded by, I think that was Diane. We will vote this. Diane Goldner. Diane Goldner.
I seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Kelly. Let's start with Kelly Marston then. Kelly.
Yes.
Deanne Clark.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
Diane, are you here? Has Justin left us? I will say yes also. That's 4. So we have a majority. All right, we will take it up again in November and hopefully get some of these open questions answered.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice evening. Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, so let me see what we're going to do here.
Greg, I had said 90 West Main Street was going to continue, but I see Mitch and Doug Stone are in attendance and they are representatives. So maybe, maybe we could check in with them to see if they're here for 90 West Main Street COC.
90 West Main Street, not in the agenda.
It is. It is. It's under requested certificate of compliance.
Oh, mine says 0 West Main Street.
Oh, really? Oh, I must have erased 9. The public one says 90. So.
That's what counts. Okay, let's take this plan down.
Okay.
And you said Doug Stone and
Mitch from Goddard.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's here for that, but I was talking with him about that
let's
project.
find out.
So.
Let's bring Doug Stone in. Doug, you are muted.
Hello.
Hello, is Mitch Goddard, is Mitch the person you want on the call? He's got his hand up, I guess, and that's yes.
Hey there.
Hey, Mitch, you're in.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. 90 West Main Street. Do we have some? Okay. Do we have a?
Is there
a
any
quick
new
diagram?
information? We haven't received
Yes.
any new information.
So tonight we were just hoping for a discussion with the commission to see how to move forward with the open order of conditions we had from 1995. There's, it's holding up some sales on the property, and we're just trying to find the best way to move forward with the work that needs to be done to close out the certificate, close out the order of conditions.
Mia, which one's 90 West Main?
Route 20. It's a little blue house that kind of is a little lower than the road.
Yes. And it has a decrepit multi-car garage wooden garage down back. Yep. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Correct. So yes, Mia, I just sent you an email with some PDFs and an image that I could present to you guys.
Sure.
It just has some proposed conditions. So I'll give you a little background on the open order conditions. So there was pipe work that was done back in 1995 or approved in 1995. And there was inadequate coverage of the pipe, and there was a replication area that was proposed but was not created. So that there's a few issues that need to be addressed before it's closed out. Now, our goal is to complete these issues by filling the pipe over with 12 inches of sod and fill. And we are also proposing to make the wetland replication area that was originally proposed for the pipe work. Mia, did you have a chance to get those plans up?
I think so.
If
Here
you
it
could
is.
show the 1995 replication, yes, this one first. So this map helps show what the conditions were like in 1995. So this tan area was the known extent of the wetlands back in 1995.
So Mitch, where's Route 20 on this?
It's at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Yep. So Route 20 is at the bottom of the page. There's a driveway that goes back to a garage, which is in the center of the photo there. And then to the right of the garage is where the old extent of the wetlands were. Now, the pipe was supposed to fill in this hatched area with the yellow area, red lines. That's where the pipe went in. And that filled in a bit of wetlands, 340 square feet. So the original plan was to replicate on the other side of that jetting out wetland, and in the area where there's that white space and green plants, that's where the replication area was originally proposed. Now there's an issue with this because since so much time has gone by and since the pipe has gone deeper into the property, the wetlands have receded, and the proposed replication area is quite a distance from the wetlands now. That black hatched area is now our known extent of wetlands in 2020, approved in an ANRAD. So it wouldn't make sense to replicate in the originally proposed area. So we are going to propose a new replication area in a different part of the property, because we believe it would be a lot less work and more. It would make a lot more sense to put it closer to the wetlands than where it is now, where it was originally proposed. So Mia, do you mind pulling up the image I showed you?
Is it this, or is there a page 2?
There is an image of some lawn area.
Oh, I probably didn't grab it. Hang on.
You can keep this site plan up for a second.
Oh.
I guess.
Hang on one second. It's going to take me a minute to save it to the file.
Okay. So on this site plan, real quick, we're proposing the wetland replication area in the back of this lawn area. You can see towards the northern part of the map, there's a small hatched area, same size as your originally proposed wetland replication area. So we were gonna just put it in the back there where it's just a lawn area. It is very close to the wetlands and would be far easier to create the replication area there than the originally proposed area. Once Mia gets a chance to pull up the image, you can take a look at the area we're going to propose the new replication area at.
This will not open.
Okay, that's
for
fine.
some reason. I have a bunch of site photos. We might be able to see.
And Mitch, this is all under the 1995 order of conditions, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So that's what we're getting to. So we're not allowed to do work at the moment. So we're going to discuss with you guys, what you think would be the best way to handle this is. One would be for us to file new notices of intent to do the work, put the fill on top of the pipe to adequately cover it. But yeah, you can see in that picture, that's where the pipe is. There's exposed pipe there. So we need to cover that up. So, that's one option. We file a new notice of intent. That will take, a considerable amount of time, effort, and expenses. So we're hoping that we could potentially move towards alternatives. Another option would be to have you guys issue an enforcement order, allowing us to go in and put the fill on top of the pipe and create the wetland replication area. And a third option would be to segment these two issues, issue a enforcement order on the pipe issue. That way we can address that and file and complete that under an enforcement order, and then leave the wetland replication area open for a new notice of intent that would be filed as part of once the new owners of the property create a site plan. So those were the three options we, thought you guys could think about and, kind of guide us towards a solution here.
What's the first one again? The first option?
First option would be we file a new notice of intent to do the work.
This is a sale pending situation, isn't it?
Correct. And the buyers are reluctant to buy due to the pipe issue. They're willing to work and do the wetland replication area, but they are concerned with the pipe issue and would prefer that is dealt with prior to the sale.
Is this the area? You said that there was a photo of the lawn area where you were going to propose. Is this the right spot?
Nope, it's actually deeper into the property.
So that's behind the bank. That's the backyard.
You're getting there. Yep. Okay, that's a good one. So deep in past that that garage, there's lawn area back there. Basically, where that vegetation is, that taller vegetation is. That's where we would connect it into the wetlands there. So there'd be a 340 square foot area placed in that back area of lawn.
Mia, did we hear, is this the same property that came before us in, was it May?
Yeah, and they withdrew. They had a notice of intent and they withdrew before it went to a public hearing.
Okay.
Um,
New owners?
Same owners, different buyers.
Okay, okay. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I think we want to make sure the replication gets done.
Mhm.
We could do without holding up the process. That would be good.
I don't know if you can do replication under an enforcement order. You can do restoration, but I thought that replication had to be done under a new order of conditions.
But I think, didn't they say they would allow that? If we could tell them what to do on the pipe, that would mean the order of conditions would still be outstanding. And then somebody in the future would still have to come along, and to close out the site, they'd have to do the replication.
Correct. That would be our preferred method because the buyers are willing to handle the wetland replication area. So if they could incorporate that into their new notice of intent, that would be the ideal situation.
So, I mean, unless I guess there's a burning desire to correct this 25-year-old problem, which no one knew existed, I don't have a problem with what they're asking.
I don't recommend issuing the certificate of compliance until we receive the new notice of intent.
No, we wouldn't issue anything. We would just tell
Okay.
them what to do on the pipe. And then I think we would, guys, tell me if you're right, but we wouldn't be issuing a certificate of compliance of any sort. We would just be telling you how to solve that part of the problem.
Okay.
Well, the new owners would buy the property with an open certificate of compliance, which they would then roll into a notice of intent. And at that point in time, hopefully we could come back and close out the compliance once that new NOI has been executed.
Right.
That makes sense to me. It seems like a good approach to get things done and keep things on track.
They just need to tell us what they want to do on the pipe.
We were going to propose 12 inches of fill with sod on top of it.
Bury it.
Dr. In. I thought he was in.
Oh, hi, this is Scott Goddard.
Yeah,
Can I
we
add
got
a couple
something.
comments?
Of course, yes. Help yourself.
So I appreciate you guys helping sort of sort this out. And I think Mitch did a good job explaining the kind of the pickle we're in. We're trying to really help this transaction go through for what's going to be what I expect to be a very good redevelopment project for the new buyers of this site. And there'll be net improvements to the resource areas as was proposed in the previous one that was withdrawn, but I think you might even be more pleased with this upcoming request. That said, the plan that was given to you by Cornerstone Engineering by email just shortly shows the two things that we believe are outstanding and were also found to be outstanding by the commission over the summer when Thompson List and Associates requested a COC and the commission rightfully did not issue that COC. So it shows 12, if you can bring that plan up, it shows 12 inches of added pipe cover on the right-hand side of that plan. Those notes with an erosion control barrier, 12 inches of cover and to be stabilized. And then it also shows where, in my opinion, is the appropriate and best spot to put a replication area. So the commission could, if it wills to, issue an enforcement order allowing that work on the pipe cover to take place. I would leave it up to the commission, Mia, on the question you raised about creating a wetland replication area, but I've been in many situations where I've seen commissions allow wetland replication under enforcement orders. It's a convenient way to deal with outstanding matters on expired orders of conditions that may not be appropriate for a whole new order of conditions, and now we just have one additional permit we have to work on closing out and such. So your enforcement order could include pipe only, or it could include pipe plus replication area. And then the pipe work would take place certainly immediately. And I think to get stabilization on top of that, since we're outside of the growing season now, we might even put sod on top of it or another very stable surface to get some quick stabilization to the top of that, that pipe area. Then I could see a situation where we request a partial certificate of compliance, for example, I'm not saying it's necessary, but potentially, I'm just trying to work with the buyers and sellers to get them to kind of come to an agreement here. Leaving the wetland replication area as then the only open issue. So then the buyers could buy the property with some confidence level that they weren't going to have to deal with any more old pipe issues. They just could deal with knowing that they have to build a wetland replication area of 350 square feet and whatnot. That would get integrated, like Mitch said, into the new overall site redevelopment program. A new order of conditions would get issued, presumably approving the additional replication area. At that point, the old COC, whether that gets closed out with the old order, whether it gets closed out with a full COC or whether it just lingers until the new project gets a request for a COC, really wouldn't matter at that point. But I think any one of these ways gets us through there. But we're trying to help this transaction go through. When they did the title search, this 1995 order came up, and all of a sudden it has put the sale on hold. So that's what we've been tasked to do, is to sort of figure out a way to navigate this little landmine. So we do appreciate your help on this.
So what are we missing about the pipe? I mean, if I'm buying the property, of the two things, I would think that the replication would be the way more significant one I'd be afraid of.
Well, unless there was something else, Todd, like with the pipe, you go, oh, well, you know, it's the wrong size, it's the wrong location, it all needs to be redone. Basically, the pipe was built as, you know, the same way someone would build a house or a structure or whatever. It was the infrastructure part of this project. And they put it in kind of lazily, kind of sloppily, didn't have the right cover on top of it, and kind of walked away from the site. And so the issue that the engineer and the Conservation Commission and us have jointly found to be lacking is the appropriate pipe cover on this, what is effectively a pipe within an easement that has rights either by, I'm not sure if it's Mass Highway or Northborough DPW, but it is within an easement right away on the.
Well, what kind of flow does a pipe carry now?
It carries kind of a fairly constant trickle, I would say, and it ties into the catch basins on Route 20. So somewhere along the way, whether it's stormwater, whether there's some groundwater infiltration, I'm not quite sure, but the only source of water entering those pipes that's per design is the catch basin section along Route 20.
Okay. Any more thoughts from the commission? I mean, I'm kind of the school of thought of the break apart and go with the enforcement order for the pipe and then roll the replication into the next NOI.
Sorry, I'm being accosted by a moth. It's like the presidential debate. Yes, I think that's a good idea. Enforcement order for I agree with you. Enforcement order for the pipe, and then roll the replication into a new order. Scott, do you know if they ever worked out who owns the pipe? Because right now the current owner and then the new owners are going to own the pipe until that gets straightened out.
A little more research is necessary on who has rights to this drainage easement that this pipe resides within, whether that's a Northborough issue or whether that's because Route 20 is a state highway, right?
Yep.
So whether that's a state pipe maintenance issue, I'm not sure of the answer to that.
Okay.
And the closing is too pressing at this point time-wise to try to pin the responsibility on this to anybody else. You know, there could be reason, you know, Bob Moss was the original applicant in 95, you know, but it's going to be hard to chase him down. The state or the town, that's going to take a long time. We just want to get this issue resolved.
Doug Stone, you should be able to speak.
Okay, yes, it's a 1937 easement that was granted to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for drainage purposes, and it's a 12-foot wide easement.
So it's the state. That's good.
State. Yep. Okay, good. We ready to move forward if everybody's in agreement on the approach?
So we're going to issue an enforcement order to cover the pipe. Is that correct?
Well, that's the recommendation, and I want to make sure that the commission's all on board with that. Todd, you're okay with that, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, it seems reasonable to me.
Okay. And Kelly?
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay. And I think, Diane, are you here or are you gone?
No, I'm right here. I'm listening to everybody go back and forth.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. So I think we've got consensus, Mia. That's the approach.
And what about the certificate of compliance? Is that going to stay open?
I believe will stay open until we get, actually, I think it'll get closed once the NOI gets approved and implemented, which would include the second part, which is the replication.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to issue an enforcement order for the pipe cover work.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Diane. We'll roll call vote this. Let's see. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan Clark.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. I've got a little scratchy going here. There's got a lot of different scratches. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry. All right, so we're good on that one. We're good. We're good, Scott.
All right, thank you very much. And me, if you have any questions or want to review any of the kind of logistics of that with me, we can talk, during regular kind of business hours. But I assume for starters, you can use this cornerstone plan as a reference point for how you want to write it up.
Yep, and just another thing will be you guys will have to give me notice before you start the work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Good night.
Can we take a bathroom break? Is that okay?
Sure.
The answer is just yes.
All right, I'll be
Sorry,
right back.
Want
Don't let
everybody
anybody
clear-minded
Zoom
here.
bomb.
Kelly, did you move all your ice cream? All the ice cream tubs were gone?
Oh my goodness, it's insane. That was like opening floodgates. I've never called the last call before. I ended up calling the guy that makes my ice cream and ordered 36 more tubs.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. The 75-degree weather has not been hurting that bad. So kind of wish I was open right now.
Yeah. All right. While we're waiting for Mia to come back.
Anyone here from Wayne? See how he's doing?
I have not. A friend of mine did have a Wayne Baldelli sighting at Juniper Hill about a month or two ago.
Oh, really? So I have an albino turkey on my property. I have never seen one before.
Wow, that's rare.
Yeah. It's a female. She's out there with the other moms, herding the little ones around. But yeah, she's pretty cool looking.
And the little ones are all naturally colored. There's no albino little ones.
Some of them have white on the tips of their feathers, but like their feathers aren't all white. They're pretty cool.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's
All right.
next?
So next we have, you want to talk about tree removal on Zero Whitney?
Sure. This is just some trees along the back of Edmonds Hill that were reported as hazardous. The tree warden went out and inspected them, found them to be hazardous, and asked his tree contractor to give him a quote. Before the quote came in, the trees snapped in the recent storm. So now the quote has changed. We had to get a new quote because you can't trim trees that have snapped. They have to be removed.
Okay.
It's $3,800 for tree removal that the tree warden and I have both deemed to be hazardous. We do have a few photos if you want to see them.
I'd rather see the albino turkey, but I suppose.
What's that?
I have
You
an
missed that.
albino turkey on my property.
Oh, really?
Okay, where's this money coming from?
So it would come from the conservation fund, which, just to be clear, the conservation fund in the town of Northborough is not funded by fees. That's called the wetlands fund in town. So this is your, you know, your $40,000 egg that you treat Bartlett Pond with, and it has to come from your conservation fund. And we did approve one of these 2 months ago for $5,600 in tree removal on Ball Hill, abutting Mount Pisgah.
Okay. And we kind of deal with this later on in the agenda around the CPC applications.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to see the photos or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty pictures.
Oh, yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
It's our favorite white pines. This one
Mhm.
is, the one to the left is snapped off.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of the branches off of this one. So now this one is uneven. I think this is the damage that's already been done to the homeowner.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we need a motion to spend $3,800 to remove these trees.
I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call vote. Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Did we need to see if there was any public comment on my participations bars?
I got a hand up.
Catherine Ward is the owner at 17 Carey
You got a
Craig.
hand up. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Catherine, you should be able to talk.
Can you hear me?
Ward? Yes, we can. Yes.
Awesome. No, I just wanted to say on behalf of me and my fiance, thank you guys so much. We recently just moved in and when did we move? In June. So 2 pines actually fell on our house, but they were ours. So when this snapped, you know, we got really concerned. So we really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. And there's big trees, they can do a lot of damage. So,
Oh yeah. Yep. We're learning that. So, but thank you. Thank you again.
thank you for joining. Okay, so moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about violations next.
Yes.
89 Maiden, 14 Hillside.
So 89 Maynard, the owner is here. I don't know if you want to bring him in.
Brett Rand. Is that the owner? I will.
If you want to let
Okay,
him.
Mr. Rand, you are now available to talk.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, good. All right, Mia. So what's this? This is we saw this one, right?
Yes, Todd reported this as possible site work near a wetland. So I visited it, met with Mr. Rand, and he said, I have pictures I can share. He said he had some hazard trees he removed. It's my opinion that some site work was also completed. He said site work was not completed. We disagree. We did have a discussion about the wetlands resource area, the riverfront area, the edge of the wetlands. He said he has no intent to do any additional work, and he understands that he has to get a permit for any additional work. And that's standard protocol that if we see a homeowner who does this, I don't know if he's a site professional. He didn't answer that, but it's up to you. As far as I'm concerned, the standard protocol is with a homeowner. We issue them a violation letter or email, have an educational conversation, and that's it. As long as they don't want to do any additional work. And no additional work has been observed since then.
Mr. Rand, is there any intention for additional work here?
Negative. I had a tree that was endangering my house. It went down in that same direction and took out another couple trees, and those were also dangerous at that point.
But you don't have any more plans to do anything in here. You're not going to put in a basketball court or a swimming pool or anything like that.
I don't really have any intentions of doing anything further. So,
okay. All right. Well, if you did, which you certainly, if you did, which you have the right to do, we would require a permit on that.
Yeah, no intentions.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? So I mean, the recommendation is what? Just write a letter and pretty much
Letter's been
state that.
written. Yep.
And of course, let the stumps stay in. We're not going to do any more stumping, right? They're just going to stay as they are.
Yeah, everything's gonna stay the way it is.
All right. I'm good. How's the rest of the commission feel? Everybody else okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We're good then. All right. Thank you, Mr. Rand.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Next one, Mia, is 14 Hillside. Did anybody hear from that one?
Please raise your hand if you're from 14 Hillside. I don't recognize anyone.
No.
So this site got a violation letter in 2019 to the previous owner for site work. This is next to the pond. Let me see if I can pull up some photos.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So a new owner bought it, and the new owner was doing some site work, some vegetation cutting. So I issued a new violation letter figuring this person had no idea. Let me get an older photo.
This is right on Smith Pond.
Yep. So I spoke with the new owner and said, you know, this, don't do anything, the pond, blah, blah, blah. The next day, a pile of loam showed up. I spoke with the owner again and said, get the loam out now. You know, it's against the violation email, a violation letter that I sent you. The next day, the neighbors called. They were shoveling the loam into an open cesspool pit. So they got an enforcement order and $100 fine, cease and desist from myself, the building department, the health department, everybody. Everybody's been visiting it regularly. The loam is now gone. Let me see if I can share.
Did they pay the fine?
No, not yet. But you know what? Can you see the photo?
Yeah. Is that the water in the back?
That's the pond.
That's the pond.
Let me go forward. It's like a drop off. Why isn't this letting me go forward? Hang on. There we go. So, can you see the photo?
Yes.
Up to the left, see the retaining wall. Up to the left is where the pile was. Down to the right, see it's starting to fall down the slope because they were shoveling it down the slope. And then there's another retaining wall that drop off right to the pond. So it's definitely within the 100 feet. That's the pile. This little square on the house was a taped on cease and desist from the building department from the previous violation. So the pile's been removed. They understand, you know, they had said, oh yeah, we hired someone. We hired this great architect. He wants to put this big, beautiful porch on the back. And I said, no, you need an engineer. And they've checked in with me since. They called to follow up and they're like, have you been to the site? Does it look okay? Are we following the rules now? So they seem to be in compliance. They are following the rules.
Good.
And they requested the names of some local engineers to design, because they need a new septic. So.
And they will pay the fine?
We'll see. I think when they come in for their permit is probably when we'll say,
yeah,
don't forget about the $100 fine.
Okay.
Because it'll have an open enforcement order on the site.
So, I mean, are they going to raise this building and put something new up, or?
I don't know what their plans are.
Because this is, well, there's a lot of issues here.
Yeah. So I do need you to vote to ratify the order because I issued it, but it's just my signature. So you'd have to ratify it.
Okay.
Add motion. Do we motion it? Can I motion?
Yeah.
that we ratify your signature?
Ratify the motion, I believe. Ratify the order, right?
The order. That's right.
I motion that.
Seconds it.
I will.
Diane seconds it. Roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Hellwig.
Yes.
I will vote yes.
Okay. Just means your signatures get added.
Okay.
What is that
Beavers.
fill of? I'm sorry. I'm just looking at all those sticks and everything coming out of the fill. What is
It's
that?
just ugly loam. They called it loam, but it's full of roots.
You can see, I mean, yeah, it's in a very sensitive location.
Yeah.
Okay. Beavers on School Street in railroad right of way.
I don't have any photos of this one. I forgot to take photos. It's just over. There's another at 202 School Street, the back of the Juniper Hill. There was another blocked railroad culvert. So the US CSX contracts USDA Wildlife Services to manage that. So the first, they go out, they move stuff, they move the blockage a little bit. That's allowed under maintenance. And then the beavers usually get aggressive because they're really angry and moving their stuff. And then he knows there's beavers, then he has to trap and do some more extensive stuff. So he's doing that now. I think he's currently trapping. That was the last I heard.
Is it close to that first dam, or is it different from where that first dam was?
It's different. I can pull up the town GIS and show you. Oh. Okay. Hang in there. Okay, can you see the town GIS? Oh, and now it broke. Let's try again. Okay.
Here it is.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My Zoom quit unexpectedly. Yeah. There's just a lot going on for the computer, I think. Let me close the photos. So this is the railroad here, and this is where the blockage is. And the old blockage was over here.
Yep.
On the other this side.
On the back side of that industrial park.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just curious. This is just FYI for us, right, Mia?
I think you have to vote to, you have to vote to ratify it. You have to put your signatures on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call vote. Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Thank you.
The EPC applications. I did see the drafts that went out. Is this an FYI for us, Mia?
No, last month we had talked about CPC. We couldn't think of anything, and you guys said to draft anything I could think of. So these are the two things I can think of. They are due in early November before your next meeting.
Okay. So the drone tablet's about $1,200, and the tree removal, I don't want to say slush fund, the tree removal rotating account would be 40 grand.
Jesus. I'm sorry.
So let's go to the drone tablet first, shall we, at $1,200. We've got a drone given to us. We need the tablet to make it work.
That's right.
So what does that cost?
$1,200.
13. Yep. It's about 13 with the accessories.
And where do you get them?
The Apple Store. Oh, my Zoom is acting funny. I may cut out.
You'll see the remote meetings, Mia.
You're seeing remote meetings.
I'm seeing
my
the screen, I think.
My Zoom is frozen. You can keep going. Once
Okay.
it comes back, I'll stop sharing.
All right. All right. Todd, what do you think? You're on CPC.
So, my issue is that I have sort of staked out a position that we really shouldn't be spending any money this year because we have no money left in any of the accounts. right? For a long time, we were carrying like $1 million in a variety of different accounts for rainy day fund. We're now down to like nothing. And the revenue is going to be down, and we still got to pay the debt service on White Cliffs. So my position was going to be, except for small things, sundries, I would call them, I would not be wanting to do anything significant. I think that the tablet is consistent with what I would be in favor of. You probably already guessed what my view on the second one's going to be.
We have a leaning, yes. So Mia, you with us?
I am.
So Mia,
I
if
can't see
we
you.
don't go after the $40,000 for the revolving tree fund, I mean, we just approved 3,800 today and $5,000 a few months ago, so we're probably approving expenditures anyway.
Yeah, you're those are coming out of the conservation fund, and they have been approved by town council as allowable expenses.
So, I mean, I don't think that you could spend CPC money on this, right? That is not a proper expenditure, number one. Number two, and this was the rant I warned Mia about, is if we're going to spend money on these things, I would like to spend the money on all of the trees that are overhanging the public way that are going to kill me when I drive or walk by first. Right? So I just do not see this as in any way, a imperative thing that we need to tackle.
The tablet, is that
No,
what
talk about the trees. I'm good with the tablet. Seems expensive, but I'm good with the tablet.
is there any way to get a used one?
The town won't buy used property because it doesn't come with a warranty.
But are they available?
I don't know. We do have $1,000 in the land management line item. So Kathy was saying, both of these items, the drone could be, if at the end of the year, come June, we still haven't spent that $1,000 on land management, we could probably get a tablet for $1,000, maybe find $300 somewhere else somehow. And then the tree removal, we are going to go for it in the annual budget. But where this is kind of a level funded kind of year, we may not get it. And we're okay for this year. There's something we could table till next year, and kind of hand in hand. So under this, I did check the CPC website to see what other communities were approving. Tree removal has been approved, but it's more specific. It's not like when hazard trees pop up. It's more like, here's an area that needs tree removal. And so when we get the drone and we start inspecting the perimeters of the properties and we find there's a certain area, or we identify a group of hazard trees and then get a cost estimate, we can come back next year for a more specific project.
But those trees, removing those trees, no way enhance the resource we're trying to protect.
But we're responsible. We're responsible for removing the hazards. So it's part of land management.
That's fine, but that's not, we can't use it for operations. We can't even use the money for maintenance.
Okay.
I mean, it's a sort of an awkward position, because if I'm on the commission, I'm going to vote against it.
There were lots of tree removal projects from other communities. So I'm not sure, how they framed it, or, because if it's a one-time thing, it doesn't have to be considered maintenance. It could be a restoration project.
It's a town if this is money the town has to spend, they can budget for it and come up with it some other way.
IT department, what he thought would work best. And he came up, he's our guy who buys all of our computers and tablets, and this is what he recommended. I have no preference. I don't care what they give me. Just want something that works with the drone.
Yeah.
Oh, and the cable access, I think, has an iPad. They have a bigger drone. In fact, they're the ones giving us, they're not really using the smaller drone, Phantom. And so they're giving us that to use. And they use an iPad with their drone.
We just got one, and I know it's either, you can use both on it. So we're using an Android just because you can change out the memory cards, you know.
Oh, nice.
But
So
This
we
would
can-
have
you
cell
said we can
service.
we can fund the drone with existing funds right around between some
I
different
think we
accounts.
could make it work. Yeah. Kathy emailed me. I gave her the application and she's like, yeah, because we were waiting to see how much it would come in at.
Yeah.
Kathy's like, we have the $1,000 as long as we don't use it.
I sort of related, but I remember from the last agenda from August, some of the expenditures, like on the, and maybe this was the next thing, so I apologize, for like the vehicle for the police department was being reviewed by town council.
Yes.
I'll table my question, but the money thing made me think of it.
They reviewed the tree, because remember the Ball Street tree removal, we had to get that reviewed. We had to get the ATV, the reward, and the trail cameras, and everything but the reward was considered an allowable expense. The reward is not an allowable expense.
Thank you.
So are we gonna, it sounds like the $40,000 is not gonna happen.
That's fine. I'm fine with it. You guys asked me to think of what we could
Sure,
possibly
sure.
need in the next year. And so
Can
I
we
came
get-
up with these two.
Can we get the drone without the application still?
I think
I'm
so.
sorry, the tablet?
You go, if you want to apply, I'm not against the drone, the tablet for the drone. I think that falls within my keep it small mandate. You just have to keep in mind, I vote against a lot of stuff and I'm usually the only vote against it. So it's going to look a little weird when I start trying to push stuff.
When can we actually spend this money? When should we
July.
actually, July?
The money gets released July 1st.
We'd like to get that drawn up before July.
Yeah. We
So-
just use my cell phone or the Samsung till then and just do basic, not large video recordings, that kind of thing.
Or we find $1,200 kicking around in various accounts and buy one.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we don't have to apply for this. I won't be heartbroken if you don't want to move forward with either one. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity.
Yep. Okay, I think unless anybody has other opinion, it sounds like we're gonna say zero for this. We did get 120 grand last year, so that was a big number, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the consensus is don't move forward with either.
I
That's fine.
believe-
It's less work.
I would, Mia.
Yeah.
I would say on the tree situation, if there's a way to get that out in public for people to be thinking about trees that they could remove, because if they get to them early on, being one who has umpteen dozen pine trees around my house, and over the course of the 40 years that we've lived here, probably taken down like $20,000 in trees. I have sympathy for people, but it's also their responsibility to start looking at their property and see what they can do too. Maybe some help along that way for people to understand that.
We do get a lot of calls, like a
Mhm.
lot, and it's usually me or DPW, because the town is getting tighter. There's no.
It's not just that. If you walk along, like I do, walk around my neighborhood, there must be at least 10 more trees just on Newton Street from either end of Sherilyn that need to come down because they're dead. And I know that's a quantity of trees. Scott took down one big tree on Sherilyn for me this year. And I look, in the back parts of the properties, if you can see where all the pines are and everything, and watch them swing and sway in the breezes way, it's kind of hard for people because they're expensive, but they need to look at it. The town can just encourage them to be ahead of it.
We get calls every week and people,
Sure.
because you're right, it's very expensive. And so usually the call is, this tree is a hazard tree. It's going to fall on my house. Can you please come? And the town does not have insurance to enter onto private property. So that's why we had to get Templeman to do this one, because it has to be accessed from 17 Carrie Craig to do the work. There's no way to get in from our Edmund Hill property. And then the same thing, the DPW has a contractor, Templeman, to take out any trees that abut municipal land to private property. But anything they can get at from municipal land, DPW does themselves. They don't have a crane. So if they
Mhm.
reach that level, they have to have Templeman.
Yeah.
But the town doesn't even have insurance for the equipment to enter the private property. So most of the time the calls are, the town needs to come and take this tree from my property. And we only take the ones from the right of way.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Informal discussions. Mount Pisgah, meeting calendar, and representation of the commissions.
okay. Mount Pisgah, I think I told you we got approval to buy the trail cameras and the signs and the ATV, but still haven't been able to move forward on actually getting any of them. It's kind of a lengthy process to try to figure out how to get it in hand. Lots of red tape. And the Trails Committee voted on Monday to name that connector between the Loop Trail and the Sparrow Trail. They would name it the Johnson Trail after, are you familiar with Betty Tatro? I believe she made our butterfly garden on Watson Park.
Sure.
She grew up on a farm over on Green Street that was known as the Johnson Farm. So that's why they chose the name, the Johnson Trail. And that's going to go on the map. CMRPC did come out and do the mapping. They rerouted the Sparrow Trail twice because did I tell you someone put it all back?
Mm-mm.
So the Boy Scouts went out and cut in the new trail and then completely covered the old trail with lots and lots and lots of trees and branches. And about 10 days later, someone went out and completely cleared the old trail and covered the new trail with lots and lots and lots and lots of branches, like beyond what I could do. So two Trails Committee, Brian Belfer and Jamie DeSottles, a local fireman, they went out and volunteered and cleared the whole thing again. And I reblazed it, and Trails Committee took it upon themselves to put up some signage because they felt like it was a waste of time. I agree with them.
It might not have been a nefarious effort. It might have been somebody who thought somebody else had done something and they tried to bring it back.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what we think. Maybe it was just someone trying to help out with a lot of time and energy on their hands. So
any more signs of activity, of tree cutting or?
Yeah. It's funny. People cut along that old trail. They cut like some 6-inch trees, little trees along that new trail and widened it, or the old trail. So people are still cutting. I do have an order in for signs. I know it's getting late, so you probably don't want to look at the signs. They just say, not a trail, leads to private property, and this area is under surveillance. The chief of police says we have to have signs that say this area is under surveillance to put up the trail cameras.
If Todd approves the signs, I'm fine with that. So.
Okay.
Good.
So maybe you could vote to spend the money on the signs up to $300. I think we're going to take it out of, actually, it's going to probably come out of that land management. So
Where'd the rest of the funds come from? Because the ATV was 10, right?
that's coming out of the conservation fund.
And the cameras are 900 a piece times.
No, 100 a piece. Just
Okay,
100.
times 9. Okay, all right.
Yeah, times 6. So up to,
All right.
you actually voted already up to $600 to spend on the cameras.
Just to kind of rekindle some of the discussions earlier here today about funding.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion to spend the money on signs.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call vote. Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Thank you.
Meeting
I think that's
calendar.
everything on Pisgah. I drafted a meeting calendar for next year. It's mostly the second Mondays. I can send it out. I think my computer's working now. I can pull it up if you'd like, and you can just vote on it. It's going to be subject to change because if we're still in this mess, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Got to put a stake down someplace. So
Yep, we got to start somewhere. So this is the calendar for next year.
okay.
And so you see, I moved you to a couple Wednesdays, like in January, February, where it will coincide with the Board of Selectmen. And then I'm assuming we're going to be back to the second Monday come March. and in
Okay.
person. So this is my optimistic calendar.
Fair enough. Glasses half full approach. That's fine. Okay.
Okay. And I'd like to put this on the website because people, we're already at November. So it's
Yep.
time to put up next year's calendar. So if you think it's okay, if you go ahead and vote for it. Otherwise, let me know any changes.
Is there a motion?
I motion we approve the calendar as it is shown.
Second.
Seconded by Todd. Roll call vote. Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Then Conservation Commission representatives with a
Yes.
new member tonight. The Conservation Commission has representatives on Open Space Committee, Earthwork Board, and Groundwater. Currently, I wish Tom was here because last month Tom had said he was considering going to Open Space.
Let's hold off till Tom's here then, if that's the case.
You can hold off. And then Earthwork is Tom currently, and Groundwater is Diane.
Right.
So Dan, are you planning on continuing to serve on Open Space?
That was my plan, I guess. I hadn't considered leaving, so.
Dan can take this spot.
Well,
Dan,
Kathy said he could stay and Tom could go as the conservation because
Oh, okay.
Dan's already been appointed by the Board of Selectmen
Fine.
as one of their appointees.
And let's wait till Tom's here next month, hopefully.
Okay.
Go from there. Anything else going on?
There was something.
We should see West Street next month, right? That NOI.
They said that. We'll see. It's up to them. The Trails Committee has asked to remember the Edmund Hill, the reroute around the private property. We put in switchbacks because those straight up and down trails cause erosion. So it has been really well received. I mean, just people are writing and commenting all the time that they love this new trail, that it's longer, that they're accessing more features. Actually, a lot of geologic features on Edmund Hill. There's like a magnolia tree, this huge cucumber magnolia tree, and these crazy geologic features that we're starting to access. And so the Trails Committee has asked to begin the process of rerouting the other side from the summit down to the senior center, the Summit Trail, with a zigzag switchback. They won't be cutting anything in. They'll just be hanging flags, and then they'll come back once it's in and ask you to walk it and approve the new route. But if you see the flags out there, and if you're completely against it, please let me know so I can tell them not to move forward.
Anybody completely against it?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay, so they'll move forward on it. So you might see some flagging out there. And Forrest Lyford, he's a geologist, so he's gonna really pull in some of those key features.
I love switchbacks.
All the mountain bikers love it. Everybody loves it. So who knew? And in addition, that Summit Trail is starting to erode because it's a straight up and down. So that was going to have to be considered anyway.
Anything else, Mia?
That is everything I have. So I'll just say
Okay.
it's okay to flag.
Any commissioners have anything you want to bring up? Any comments or?
I'm gonna be more remote next month, but I'm still gonna be at the meeting.
We'll hear wind blowing in the background and
Pretty much.
good for you. Good. Okay, fine. November meeting's the 21st. Does anybody have a known conflict at this time?
I think it's the 16th. Let me double check.
I'm just reading your notes, Mia.
I
It said
know. I think I put
21st.
it wrong. Sorry. Let's see.
21st is a Saturday.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not that. It is November 16th.
Okay. Any known conflicts? Some things come up, obviously, but
Nope.
no. Okay.
And don't forget to comment on the draft open space plan. It's ready for your comments. We're going to move pretty fast. So we've been doing this a long time due to COVID. So we're going to try to wrap it up.
Is it online?
It is. If you go,
Mm-hmm.
I just made a banner item on all three of our websites, the trails, conservation, and open space. I put a banner item so you can get right to it.
Okay.
Very good. Kelly, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, just so I'm not late again. What time is the meeting on the 16th? Is it an early one or is it back to 7?
It's up to you
I think
guys.
we're at 6 o'clock going forward, Mia, right?
It's up
Is
to
it
you.
6?
That work for folks? That 6 o'clock work good for everybody?
It gets me out of making dinner. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. Good time.
Good. Okay. Yeah, it's a long one today. You know, see, Justin, he jinxed us when he said, "Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. You're not going to miss much." Oh, sure. Okay. We all know better. All right, we're good. Need a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I did.
Okay.
For
Second by
remote.
Kelly. Roll call vote. Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
All right.
Mia,
Thank you.
thank you.
Till next time.
Thanks.